Thank you very much all to be here. Today we going to cover the theme of diversity and inclusion, because diversity and inclusion can really foster innovation and success. When you bring together a diverse range of perspective, then you ensure to have a better understanding of the market and to have a pool of people with different skills that foster creativity and an effective problem solving. While increasing diversity with factors such as gender, generation, background is important, is equally crucial to consider inclusion for people with disabilities. I think their experience really demand thinking beyond the conventional norm. Tasks that may appear to us very simple can present a big challenge to them. Moving from point A to point B require a different approach. So due to the various challenges that they encounter, I think they navigate the world with a different set of abilities, fostering adaptability and resilience. So today, to cover the topic of diversity, we have not only two female leaders, Doriana and Laura, but also through their work, supporting people with disabilities, they kind of give us this perspective. Maybe to start this panel, I will let you introduce yourself and the company you work for, and if you want to have
Okay, do you want to go first?
It's
okay. So, hello everyone, I'm Laura. I'm co-founder and communication officer at Ayúdame 3D. Ayúdame 3D is an entity that provides people with disability with 3D printed arms for free. We are right now working in more than 55 countries and delivering these devices for free, thanks to our social programs in companies and schools. We believe technology should be making health accessible for everyone, and that's what we do with our 3D printers. So if you want to check our project, Ayúdame 3D, it would be so nice. And now, Doriana, if you want.
Okay, excellent. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. I'm a psychologist, but most of all, I'm passionate with making companies the most inclusive places on earth. That's our mission. I've been working for the last 20 years in disability. And I actually work as an inclusion director at Fundación Prevent, which is an NGO whose aim is the labor inclusion of people with disabilities. So we have different programs to help all these great talents that we have in our society to find their place in companies and to be able to share all they know with society.
So impressive, two wonderful projects and very complementary.
Yeah.
Maybe I will start with Laura, and I would like to have your perspective on, do you think diversity is key for innovation?
I'm going to start by saying, of course, but the way I see it, we should look at innovation as a way to solve problems and to create better solutions for everyone. So, for example, you were saying before that maybe for people with disabilities, going from one point to another can be a challenge. And if that happens, I think it's because we have failed to create a more accessible environment, right? And that's what innovation should be doing. Innovation should be creating and making sure every space is accessible and inclusive for everyone, right? So for me, that's why diversity is key for innovation, because it helps us to see different approaches and different point of views in the creating process, and it helps us create better solutions for everyone. And when I say everyone, and when I say that we should be innovating for all, I mean all, and that has to be from a diverse point of view, right? Like the solution have to come from a diverse point of view, from different backgrounds, and including everyone. So I think, of course, diversity is key for innovation, and empathy, inclusion, and diversity should be what moves or what drives innovation.
And so if we narrow it down, Doriana, the same question, but about disabled people with disability. How do you think that can improve innovation? Or
Yeah. Did you know that the typewriter or the closed captioning or the text-to-speech system were invented to solve a problem that some people with disability had? I didn't know that, and I was very surprised. And that's a problem. The problem is that we are surprised when we think about disability and innovation because we are used to live in a standardized world. So it's hard for us to think that what we consider a passive subject, a person with disability that needs our help, that is waiting for us to find solution, is really the one offering the solution to the society. And that's really amazing. So when you are so used to move, to live, to enjoy a standardized world, what happens if there's someone in your company, someone in your environment who is not a standard? Someone who thinks, who moves, who speaks here in a different way. You have two options. You let this person go, and maybe you miss talent, or you keep this person. But then you have to innovate. Then you have to change the way you do things. And you have to be courageous enough to make this decision and to decide to change things. So people with disability, with their needs, are like catalysts of innovation because they oblige all these standardized world to think differently. And when you make innovation, you cannot do it alone. You have to involve the people around you. You have to involve the environment. So you are making other people innovate. So in this sense, I think disability is a good motor, a good engine for innovation.
Thank you. Also, I think there are actions that can be taken to promote inclusion, and maybe as well in entrepreneurship in this world.
Yeah.
What do you think at those steps, Laura, that can be improved or taken?
I think about two actions that for me are like the main actions we should be taking to make entrepreneurship and more inclusive environment. And I think they are education and representation. And I liked what Doriana was saying about seeing people with disability, for example, as a passive subject, because I think that's the wrong thing to do, you know. So, for example, with education, we can start changing that. We can start like teaching our kids from a really young age about equality, about inclusion, and about all these social values that are what we want to see in our future. That's what we want to, how we want to shape our future, right? So I think education is really important, educating our kids with inclusivity, educating with equality, and teaching like these social values to create a more inclusive environment in the future. In terms of entrepreneurship, I think representation is really important. For example, as women, I'm co-founder of a company, and for me, sometimes going to a place where I find myself surrounded by the same people that do not look like me, and I'm here alone, and I have to fight with this imposter syndrome, you know. So I think with education we can try to change that, and I think it's really important to start like having this representation of people that are like women in positions of power and people with disabilities in position of power, you know, to change that idea that there's only one way to do things, because it's not. And because what you were saying, you know, with when you have different backgrounds and different point of view to create a solution is where the real innovation is, right? So for me, education and representation have to be like the two main actions that we should be taking to make entrepreneurship or any environment more inclusive.
What about innovation? What about, do you feel that people who are disabled can be more innovative?
Well, generalization are very hazardous, so we cannot say, I'm not going to say that people with disability are all very innovative and creative, which is false, absolutely. But what is true is that, again, I would like to make you think about that. When we create something new. We want to improve something or some product or some service which is already usable for lots of people because it's standardized. So there can be innovation, of course, and that's great. But the instinct we have as human beings of making our life better, of improving it, of making it easier, which is someone innate that we have, is also very present in people who are diverse, of course. And so what's the difference between, let's say, standard inventor and a person with disability who is trying to make the environment more accessible for them? The starting point. I mean, if I have a disability, I live in a world which is not made for me, which is harsh for me, which is hostile for me. So every little things I can change means a great improvement, not only for me, but for the whole society. Because let's face it, we are growing old. Everybody is growing old. We are, maybe we will have accidents in our life. Maybe we will be during some time unable to move. We can move on a wheelchair because we fall down and we break our legs. So if I make an improvement for a person with disability, and I make this stage accessible, it's not only for this person, it's for everybody who needs a more usable, a more friendly environment. Okay, so I think in this case, people with disability are used to fighting since the day they are born, or since the day they get this disability because of an accident, in a world that they need to change. They need to change because they want to enjoy the same opportunity as the rest of us. They want to go to the cinema. I have a friend who's using a wheelchair, and he says, you know, my biggest problem when I go to a concert is not the accessibility to the concert. It's the fact that as I'm using a wheelchair, I sit here, but my kids and my wife are there. And I don't want that. I want to stay at the concert with my family. So I need to change this. It's important for me. It's very urgent. And that's why people with disability are a very innovative community, because they have this necessity, they have this need, and they have this urge to change things.
Do they help each other a lot?
Yes, we have an entrepreneurship program, and then we know that they work a lot together because they understand the other one's situation. I mean, for me, it's difficult to feel like a person with disability, to understand discrimination, to understand the fact that I can't go to a concert with my family. But if you have a disability, and maybe it's different from mine, but we are in the same situation. We live in a world which is not thought for us.
Mm-hmm. Maybe now on diversity and inclusion. I'm curious to understand what it has brought concretely to your company, Laura.
I wanted to add a thing of what Doriana was saying, and I think it's related also to what diversity has brought to our company. And I think empathy for me is like the key word for everything, you know, because what she was saying, like there's, for people with disability, there's this need to be changing things because this world is not made for them, but it's because we are also not taking care of it. It doesn't have any sense that we only care about this if this happened to us, and if we have someone close that has a disability. We should have more empathy, you know, and that's also why people with disabilities should be part of the conversation and should be part of every solution making, because that's the way we are going to create an inclusive world, right? So for us, knowing the need to listen to different point of views and using this diversity to create better solution for everyone, taking taking everyone in consideration, right, was really important, and that's what help us succeed, right? Because we were listening to different point of views, we were working with people that had the need and knew exactly what can we all do to create the solution. So for us, diversity has brought success to our company, right? But because I think empathy and diversity are the only ways to create solutions right now, and the only way to innovate, because are the only ones that are fair, right, to this world. We need to create this globalized and this more fair and more equal world. So I love what Doriana was saying about people with disability being the ones in charge of creating this solution. And in Ayudameters, we are also, our team has people with disabilities working in the solution, because that's the way we believe things should be, right? Because who better can understand what they are going through, or what are their needs, than someone that has a disability. And also, I think it's important for all of us to be more empathic and to have empathy, trying to find solutions and trying to create some better solutions before something happened to us, or before we have someone close and that have some kind of disability or whatever.
I think as well for leadership, leadership is something where empathy becomes more and more important. Now you have never seen that much difference between generations, between Generation Z, who is value-driven, and maybe the older generation who had a more classical way of doing business, and to have understanding between these to lead people very well. Mm-hmm. So that's an important point as well. Doriana, you facilitate inclusion of diversity in several companies. Can you please share with us a little bit more on those points?
Yeah, I have some takeaways. I've prepared 2 or 3 takeaways because we don't have much time to share with you. That I think make some companies really inclusive and really prepared for diversity. I'm not talking about only disability. I'm talking about general, in a more general sense, diversity. The first takeaway is effort and patience. If you intend to change your company or to change your environment and to be more inclusive, more diverse, and more innovative without effort and without patience, you're lost. Effort for the company and for the environment, because you have to be willing to change things. And when you are in your comfort zone, we all know it's so hard to change what we control and what makes us feel good. And effort for the person who is diverse, because this person has to understand that the human nature is naturally against change. We don't like changes, so this needs an effort. Another takeaway, I think, is the fact that the company has to work on culture. You cannot be innovative, and I'm sure you have been told today many times, change, innovation, diversity, inclusion, without a good company culture that is really a good base on which you can build diversity. If you want to take people with disability in your company or in your environment and you're not ready for that, that's traumatic, that's really bad. And maybe the third thing I would say, that leaders have to create, let's say, psychological safety environment. Because you can be innovative and you can accept diversity and you can show that you are diverse only if you feel comfortable to do that, if you feel safe, if you think that you can be yourself and you can express yourself, and you need an environment that helps you doing so. And this is a leadership objective.
Perfect. Well, to conclude this conversation, first of all, I feel very privileged to sit here with 2 wonderful women who focus on an important topic. I can only encourage you to go on the other side where Laura works, because she has her office here. And it's very interesting to see those 3D printing and to see the arm they are doing, and they are distributing in 50 countries. So I really encourage you to go and see it. I think I would like to open for a question if there are, and
Yeah.
if not, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.